So here we have a little small bio of myself. I'm currently at National City Middle School, which is in National City, California, a suburb of San Diego. And I used to be at Hilltop Middle School. I've transitioned to a new school in the same district, and I'm teaching 7th and 8th grade science. And I think that touching on the fact that I'm a science teacher quickly is important, because sometimes it feels more challenging for a science teacher or a math teacher, or even like a PE teacher or a CIS teacher, to feel like they have a justification to talk about social issues in a hard sciences class or a hard academic class. And you feel like it's better to relegate that to the history and English teachers. But I think it's really crucial to introduce this kind of conversation into every classroom, into every room the student is in, so that they don't feel like it's something that they learn in class. They feel like it's something that is all encompassing and something that's everywhere. And it's also important for us to recognize that in science, for me as a science teacher, and in math, if you're a math teacher or whatever other class you're teaching, as they go into these careers, or even while they're sitting in the classroom, they may be experiencing hate, or they may be experiencing injustice or marginalization. So introducing this kind of caring and in this kind of conversation into every climate that they're in makes it so that every climate that they're in, first and foremost, focuses on the need for anti-hate work and anti-hate action or attitudes by the people involved. So it's important. You can do this in science and math. It doesn't have to just be history and English. So the picture of me is from an issues conference for my union recently. That was really great for justice for students and things like that. If we go clockwise from the top, the next one is a poem, which was created by one of my former EPIC Club students. She wasn't in my classroom, but she was a member of my club. So I was able to get students both from the club and from the classroom involved. And here, as a member of my EPIC Club, she wrote about her experience as a member of the LGBT plus community, but also recognizing that we don't have one identity or two identities. Many of us have several identities. So she also included things like the American flag, the trans flag, different religions, different races or ethnicities, to recognize that our justice action has to be intersectional and it has to be all-encompassing. Then if we go down again clockwise, we have the student. This is one of my former students, actually. It's not necessarily related to anti-hate, but I wanted to include this one because I wanted to show an example of students continuing in their engagement. So this is a student that I had, I think 2 years ago now, and recently we had some financial issues in my district and many teachers were laid off. And so many of the students were engaged, and I have a teacher social media account, and I started getting a bunch of direct messages from students one day from the high schools, and they were all sending me specifically pictures of themselves in action to support teachers and things like that. So it wasn't necessarily directed to what we did in the classroom, but it's an example of the students continuing in an autonomous way, in a personal way, taking accountability on their own without any assignments to work on this kind of action. So then we take the middle one. This one is climate change focused. So recognizing that anti-hate work is also related to climate change. Environmental justice is social justice. When you think about environmentalism, you have to recognize that those people that are on the margins are going to be impacted by climate change more than those who are not on the margins. And so my student, in recognizing that, decided to write a poem about how important it is to be active in our work to save the environment and to protect those who are the most marginalized in doing that. And then finally, the last one we have is this past year's winner. And this one is a really, really beautiful digital collage. And this was created by an 8th grader. So another thing that you might be anxious about is what's an appropriate age to introduce anti-hate work. And you'll see through this series that even to TK, before kindergarten, students are ready to have these kind of conversations. But you can see that 13-year-olds have really complex, well thought out, well crafted opinions and experiences with this stuff as well. This isn't an adult who created this. I didn't help her at all. This was purely from the mind of a 13-year-old girl. And not only are we seeing really beautiful art, but we're seeing a very complex, deep image here with layers. You see tracings of actual people that you can recognize immediately. You see definitely Trayvon Martin. You see definitely Michael Brown Jr. And you can see the solidarity fist. You see a direct link to their deaths at the hands of police, right? And so this is a strong, direct, beautiful message created by a young person who has strong feelings about it. So these are some images, some examples, and I hope you participate in this in your own classroom and really get the chance to see what your kids can do for you as well.